I'm going to take you through 10 tips, secrets, and new info that has been recently announced by the Hogwarts Legacy team ahead of the game's launch. And let's talk about these tips and tricks first, because they've all been packed into this new field guide, which has been officially announced on Twitter. And according to Chandler Wood, the community manager of Hogwarts Legacy, it is the unauthorized in-game guide that is a way of showing us players the variety of different things we'll be able to do around Hogwarts. And as we know, this game will be an open world RPG title. And if you haven't played that genre of game before, it is a common mechanic to have a codex or recorded list feature whilst playing the game that allows you to reference certain items, creatures, people, or events that you discover in the game itself. A great example of this is a similar type of mechanic in the Folio Bruti or Book of Beasts back in the Harry Potter and Prisoner of Azkaban PS2 game, where you could reference various beasts or plants, and I imagine this field guide will be utilised for the same thing in this AAA game title. However, there's a bit more to this field guide that meets the eye. It has scribbles of writing and annotations over each tip page, which I'm going to break down in detail for you in just a second. But this actually reminds me of Severus Snape personally annotating his copy of Advanced Potion Making, which, if you remember, Harry went on to utilise those instructions and tips and discovered things that he perhaps shouldn't have. And I think the development team are really tapping into that here in this field guide, especially as their post on Instagram specifically says, "Don't tell the headmaster about this book." So apart from being our equivalent to the Marauders map or Snape's Half-Blood Prince Advanced Potion Making book, it has also already appeared in the recent Avalanche Software Autodesk presentation, which is a developer industry event where different studios do come together to show off their games. And we can kind of see this book in that presentation, where who we think is Professor Weasley takes hold of this book in question, and then the room visibly shakes. So it clearly has some magical significance. And we can also see it pictured on the talent tree thumbnail in the State of Play trailer, which is important to note here because it is listed as core talents when the cursor moves over it. So I would expect this book to be our go-to for generic gameplay talent upgrades, secret locations on the map, as well as hidden tips which have been written in there by a previous student that we need to discover in game. And let's talk about our first tip. It's titled "Hogwarts is full of secrets and the common rooms are no exception," which is then followed swiftly by a clip of a Slytherin student heading over to the Slytherin common room glass windows that overlook the Black Lake. She then pings across a quick spell to test the integrity of the windows themselves, and I think this is a cheeky nod to what Chandler Wood said in the Wizarding World presentation back at the start of September. Listen to this.
"The Slytherin common room windows look out onto the Black Lake's murky depths. Just don't tap the glass."
And this small clip, in my opinion, is more important than it initially seems. First and foremost, the Black Lake hosts the giant squid, amongst other creatures, and I've got a feeling that if we free cast a certain spell or use the telescope next to the window, we may be able to see it or perhaps get it to approach the window as a small Easter egg event. Secondly, the free casting is something that hasn't been officially announced yet, and in this clip, there isn't a lock-on system or any sort of interaction prompt that we pick up for approaching the glass itself compared to other items that have clearly shown us that we can interact with them in the recent trailers. So in essence, this character has just walked up to and presumably pressed a spell locked to your UI or controller freely without the need to target or be prompted to do so. And I think this is really encouraging because there's potential for us to just run around the castle casting the Revelio spell freely and perhaps discover secret dungeons, rooms, or items that don't prompt us to reveal them as we walk past them. Meaning there's a huge possibility of secrets not being found in this game which have been hidden by the developers, kind of like that hidden room in Elden Ring where you actually hit the wall 50 times for it to open and then you're in. So I can 100% see something like this being built into the game here. I also mentioned back in June about what happens if you cast a spell that isn't allowed to be cast in certain places or locations. While Wolven Avalanche brought this official Warner Bros. Twitter clip to my attention back in March about their in-game bugs. And if you listen to this clip, you can clearly hear the wand malfunctioning when trying to cast a spell. So I reckon this wand feedback will receive in and out of combat as well as trying to find secrets in the common rooms if the spell we use isn't appropriate for the free casting situation we find ourselves in. That said, back to this page in the field guide, you'll notice the words "take the stairs to K, go down the hallway, third barrel." And we can only assume here that the K means kitchens, as the Hufflepuff common room is located along the same corridor as the Hogwarts kitchens, where you need to tap the barrel 2 from the bottom and middle of the second row to the rhythm of Helga Hufflepuff. In fact, I actually think this little hint on the book leads us to a floating mystery next to the student, which is next to the Hufflepuff common room entrance, and I reckon that's what this book is all about really. Secrets within secrets, and this floating mystery looks like a lovely opportunity to cast the Revelio spell for a talent upgrade that can be added to our book, which we discussed earlier. Now, what about getting into the restricted section in the Hogwarts library? Well, it looks like we can, because our second tip says restricted is just a suggestion, but don't get caught, with the Instagram caption noting the next set of tips is not prefect approved, which I interpret that we'll be seeing prefects patrolling the corridors late at night and during the day if we're found to be in areas that we shouldn't be. In fact, we've already seen the prefect's bathroom showcased back in the State of Play trailer, which is located on the 5th floor behind a statue of Boris the Bewildered and required a password to get in. So perhaps we'll be able to get hold of that somehow, maybe eavesdropping late at night, who knows. But to add to this prefect mechanic further, in this clip we can see our character waking up from taking a nap or sleeping the night before in the Gryffindor common room. We already know Hogwarts Legacy has seasonal weather changes as well as night and day rotations in its thematic world design, so I can imagine us as players heading back to our common room dormitory and interacting with our bedpost to engage a sleep mechanic that will allow us to wake up at a certain time, like 2 AM, where we can then go patrolling the Hogwarts corridors late at night. And we've already seen the disillusionment charm being self-cast upon ourselves to utilize that stealth mechanic, so perhaps we'll be able to do this to sneak past prefects patrolling the corridors of the castle as we go exploring into that restricted section of this library. But let's have a look at that annotation on this tip page. It says, bring flowers to Garlic, make sure they're not wilted. And I reckon Garlic may be the name of the librarian, because if you remember, you need a specifically signed note from one of the teachers of Hogwarts to gain access to the restricted section of the library. And as a new student who's just rocked up, we are most certainly not going to get permission from a professor. So perhaps we can just sweet talk our way into this library with some freshly picked flowers that we can give Miss Garlic for a cheeky look inside, especially if we want to learn some dark arts extracurricular spells. And if you're enjoying this video so far, please do leave a very swift like down below. It really does help me out on YouTube, so thank you very much. And while you're down there, I'm also running a Hogwarts Legacy game giveaway. You just need to be a subscriber of the channel to enter, and the link is in the pinned comment. So good luck. Now let's move on to our next tip, which is all about the Defense Against the Dark Arts classroom, where it's officially stated that this classroom was made for mischief, like meddling with Professor Hecate's Hebridean black skeleton. Now, we did get our first hint to who our Defense Against the Dark Arts professor was back in the Autodesk presentation, that being Professor Hecate herself, and it looks like this entry certainly confirms who she is, and we can also see her successfully levitating the Hebridean black dragon skull out of the way. And if you weren't aware, that's the same skull of the dragon which has already been visually confirmed to be coming to this game. The only other dragon we know of that resides in the British Isles is the Welsh Green, but no further news on that making an appearance just yet. Now, as for our secret Severus Snape-esque annotations here, this is where it gets a little bit juicy, as there's 4 spells noted on the page. The first being Petrificus Totalis, the full body bind curse, and Stupefy, the stunning spell, which both appear here and which we've already seen previewed in the reveals so far. But Rictus Sempra and Ridiculous are the ones which we haven't yet had the pleasure of seeing in action just yet. Rictus Sempra is actually a tickling charm that causes the victim to buckle over in laughter and is widely used in the Wizarding world as a diversionary tactic or spell and a way to get a bit of a breather from your opponent in a duel if the spell actually successfully lands, which we can see Harry do against Malfoy in the Chamber of Secrets Dueling Club. I can see this charm being a perfect way to hit unsuspecting dark wizards or prefects that disable them for a certain amount of time in game, and would encourage other NPCs in the area to come across and see what they're laughing about, drawing them away from a certain location they're guarding so we can sneak past with our disillusionment charm active, maintaining stealth at all times. Now, the inclusion of the Ridiculous spell is equally as interesting to me, as this is a boggart banishing spell, which was a charm that was used to defeat a boggart, which, if you didn't know, was a shape-shifting non-being that took on the form of its observer's worst fear. They were defeated by laughter by using this spell to transform them into something very silly, but as they are immortal, this spell doesn't actually destroy them, and because of that, it operates in a very similar manner to the Patronus charm, which kind of banishes the boggart or dementor from the immediate vicinity. And I think this is quite exciting actually, because even though the Patronus hasn't yet been confirmed to be a castable spell in game, the shape-shifting mechanic, if boggarts are indeed in the game, opens up the possibility that there may be a few enemy designs available when the boggart takes its form of our character's worst fear, perhaps suggesting that if Patronuses are in the game, they aren't corporeal or just mist, but may take on the form of an animal. Now, that's enthusiastic puzzle piecing from me there, but I certainly hope we come across boggarts hiding unsuspectingly in loot chests or cupboards in the game, where the only way to get the loot is to successfully perform the Ridiculous charm and have a laugh in the process. Now, speaking of ridiculousness, Peeves, the infamous Hogwarts poltergeist that has been terrorizing the castle and its students since 993, will be appearing in this game, with the official Hogwarts tip telling us avoid Peeves or don't. And what this whole scene looks like to me is Peeves patrolling the entrance to this this long corridor, and I've got a feeling we'll have a couple options ahead of us here off the back of that title alone, meaning we can either push forward and engage in Peeves' jester-based antics, and depending upon how we interact with him during this small mini-game or cutscene or dialogue choice, we'll either be able to proceed faster through the quest to our desired location, or perhaps if we annoy him and get punished for it in some way, that will set us back 10 minutes or so of storyline or playtime. Or alternatively, we walk away and find another route, which takes longer, but we don't get a bludger back to the face thanks to Peeves. So a very quick and simple clip here. I think it demonstrates the choice of exploration and mission routes that will be open to us in this game. Now, when it comes to writing on that same page, it reads, ask about Sharp Aura Badge, which is very interesting indeed, because in the same Autodesk presentation at 31 minutes in, we can see a game file entry referencing Professor Sharp as the Potions Master, who we can presumably say is this dude here who was shown in the State of Play trailer. And I want to bring your attention to his clearly identifiable limp that he has when he walks, as well as his physical features such as the scars across his face and hands. And I think this is a very clear nod to Mad Eye Moody, who was considered to be one of the most famous auras of all time and suffered many physical disabilities due to his dark wizard duels. And I think this all fits quite nicely into that retired aura aspect here. And if you weren't aware, auras in the United Kingdom were witches or wizards that were highly trained law enforcement officials that dealt with high-risk situations and investigated crimes related to the dark arts alone. So with this storyline heavily based on active dark wizards in this time period, as well as a goblin rebellion with its leader Ranrock clearly gunning for ancient magic sources that we can bend our will to, it would make sense that we would receive counsel or advice off an ex-aura who has exceptional expertise in the dark arts and potion making. And perhaps this is a hint to choose certain dialogue choices when engaging with him, as we saw the option to do so in the Sebastian Dark Arts trailer. Something to think about there. But while we're on the topic of dark arts, we pick up another quick tip on screen here before it's crossed out quite swiftly. But if we do pause the frame, it clearly states Secret Crossed Wands Dueling Club, which also lines up really nicely with that Autodesk reveal, as we picked up a game file entry of Fight Club, presumably in reference to this dueling club, as well as another reference to a Defense Against the Dark Arts duel with Professor Hecate, which we've already seen in the State of Play trailer. So I reckon once we learn the mechanics of how dueling and combat works through this class tutorial with Professor Hecate, we'll be able to find and join this Secret Crossed Wands Dueling Club that I imagine is hidden somewhere in the castle, or perhaps the duelists only meet at a certain time of night, which we'll need to be present for to actually join. And from a lore point of view, dueling was actually forbidden until the first dueling club was created by Gilderoy Lockhart during the Chamber of Secrets, so it would make sense that any club that operated before its formal inception was some sort of underground outfit which you could only join if you knew someone or got recommended by someone who was already in the club. So perhaps we get a side quest somewhere in the castle, or we go and help someone during another quest who then gives us a tip off about how to join this dueling club. Lots of possibilities here. I'm very much looking forward to that one in particular. Now, speaking of lots of possibilities, that seems to be the case here with Zonko's joke shop, as this next tip notes it as being our one-stop shop for causing mayhem and mischief, which is swiftly followed by a quick clip of a student opening up a can of mystery with a small fireball blasting itself around the shop. And I can see this being a different animation every time we decide to purchase one and open it up, kind of like an in-game emote. But a cool Easter egg here though, during this clip you can just about make out the text on the advertisement board which says quality surprises canned and distributed by the Anderson Bros company. And here in the UK, Anderson Bros Tours is the company that organised the Warner Brothers making of Harry Potter tours, so I think that's a nice in-game nod to them there. But as for Zonko's though, it is a wizarding joke shop located at the village of Hogsmeade, which we'll be able to visit in-game. But I do want to bring your attention to the small text again scribbled at the top and bottom of the tip page. The first one that I can make out is Pepper Imps, which were tiny black peppermint sweets that allow the consumer to breathe fire and make them smoke at the ears and nose. The other sweet we have here are the Fizzing Whizbees, that were large sherbet balls that would cause a person who sucked on them to float a few inches off the ground, with Dumbledore famously using the name of this sweet as his password to his office in 1995. And we also have Cauldron Cakes noted here, which says that the batter is moist and that they're good to trade with. And I think this is a nod to the vendor system in the game or the PlayStation pre-order bonus, which states that you'll be able to run your own shop in Hogsmeade. So it looks like these will be quite profitable or to be used as a health resource in game, as they're very common confectionery items in the wizarding world. Incidentally, the Pepper Imps, Fizzing Whizbees and Cauldron Cakes are exclusively sold at Honeyduke's Sweet Shop in Hogsmeade Village and not Zonko's as far as I'm aware. So even though we haven't had official confirmation that we can enter and shop at Honeyduke's Sweet Shop, we can see a very brief clip of it here in the Hogsmeade shop quest trailer, so it's looking pretty solid to me. me. And I'll tell you what else is looking pretty solid, and that's sneaking off into the Forbidden Forest and living to tell the tale, which sounds quite exciting, as if you didn't know, the forest was strictly off limits to students, except in the case of detention or care of magical creatures lessons that occasionally took place there. It housed many secrets and dark, dangerous creatures, but also friendly ones like a small herd of mooncalves, which all lines up really nicely with another hidden note on our field guide here. It says, mooncalf instructions: brush once a day, feed mooncalf pellets a day, and can't forget playtime. And I think this is our very first nod to taking care of our own magical creatures in our menagerie in the Room of Requirement, because we've already been shown that we'll be able to capture mooncalves with our Newt Scamander inspired suitcase from the State of Play preview. But what's interesting about mooncalves is they are incredibly shy creatures and only venture out of their burrows during a full moon. And you could then have the marvellous job, if you found them during the full moon, of collecting their dung, which if it was harvested before the sun rose, would then help magical plants grow a lot faster. And this sounds like the perfect consumable for us to place on our own plants that we're growing in our very own Room of Requirement, which we can then subsequently turn into potions that will assist us in combat. So there's a whole ecosystem that seems to be operating here with a wide range of benefits that on the surface looks really positive, but let's kind of wait and see if that does actually happen. Now, one thing that is definitely going to happen, and that's the field guide collecting certain secrets in game when we do approach them and reveal them with our Revelio spell. But I want to bring your attention to the chest highlighted in the background in this scene here. It seems like this spell has a huge area of range when it's actually being cast, meaning that it will reveal items that aren't just in your immediate vicinity, like this paper we've just discovered, but depending upon the strength of the spell, it may also reveal items that are significantly further away, just like this chest. And I can definitely see this being upgraded in our core talents field guide tab, which we chin-wagged about earlier. Now, that also got me thinking about the Felix Felicis pre-order bonus for the PlayStation, which has been confirmed to be a potion recipe that once crafted and consumed will spawn additional equipment chests in the game on the map for one day. And I have no doubt that the liquid luck potion will have a larger range than this spell, especially for its use on the map. But just based on the footage and what's been shown to us in this guide so far, I think upgrading our Revelio charm, which in Wizarding World lore can reveal concealed objects, messages, passageways, hidden markings, and equipment chests, will be a very overpowered ability in this game if you want to find all the best stuff early, especially with such a massive range of effect on it. But with this huge world for us to explore, we're going to need a solid fast travel system so we don't actually spend hours running back and forth from point A to point B, which I will probably do anyway because the world building in this game looks absolutely banging. But that said, Hogwarts Legacy has confirmed that the Floo Powder Network will be our fast travel mechanic on Twitter. And recently we saw this flame network hooked up to the common rooms, meaning that we'll be able to fast travel back into the dormitories without needing to knock or provide the password or riddles to get back into our own individual houses. There's also this big house chest that is interactable in each dormitory with each house crest on it. So expect this to be our storage bank unit where we can leave all of our extra resources or outfits that we can change into if we so wish after we fast travel back. Now, there's a huge amount of new secrets that the Hogwarts Legacy team have hidden away in their recent footage and reveals. So click the video on your screen right now to find out what they are, and I'll see you there in just a second. If you're still watching though, my big thanks to those of you who are in the Reloads Club and support me on YouTube via membership. Hopefully I can get to the point of making content for you full time. But until then, thanks for watching, and coffee is on me.